and delighted that we've got Prashant Chopra from Autogem with us today.
And today's presentation is really about helping the industry protect this opportunity. And by that, I'm talking about our aftermarket fundamentally. So it's to understand some of the risks associated with TPMS as it's evolving over time and see how we can sort of mitigate those risks. And that's really where the focus of this presentation is. Three types of TPMS. Indirect TPMS uses the existing ABS sensors on a vehicle. It uses software algorithms to basically calculate when there's a deflation of some sort. And if you imagine that you've got two wheels spinning on an axle, you're traveling in a straight line, but one wheel is spinning faster than the other, that could be because this tire has a deflation on it. And that's essentially how those systems work in a very sort of broad brush way. They're very slow at detecting pressure issues. They're often called deflation detection systems. But the good news is they're cheap. And every car has ABS sensors inside them. It has to be through homologation many, many years ago. They're cheap, but they're not very good. But there's a high proportion of vehicles that have them on our roads. The other types of systems we've got are direct systems, and that's really what the focus of our presentation is today. These are powered sensors that are installed in each wheel, and they transmit various bits of data. They're very fast, they're very accurate, but they do have a higher cost to the manufacturer when the vehicle's being built, and there are servicing needs and replacement elements to them, which are more common than on the indirect side. Hybrid systems are actually a combination of both. And what's happened over the years is TPMS architecture has evolved considerably. And we've now got systems that actually use the ABS system to help with relearn procedures and speed up relearns. And when these batteries fail, you will get a system warning light. That system warning light will equate to an MOT failure. So we've got regulation that's forcing people to replace sensors now. And that's really, really a key driver to the marketplace. And basically, batteries go flat after a certain amount of time, which I'll touch on shortly. Sensors also should be serviced regularly. Now, if you imagine that, you may not need to change a sensor for up to 10 years on some vehicles, you'll certainly be changing the tires more regularly than that. When you change the tires, don't you always change the snap-in valve with it? Why do we do that? Because rubber valves degrade over time, they perish, they crack, they age. Well, actually, the same goes for the rubber grommets inside metal sensors as well, and they cause leaks. So consumer education, really, really important about proper maintenance and also understanding what's going on with sensors. And let's say phase one was the, oops, I broke a sensor market. And in those early days, you get the occasional warning light on dashboards. There wasn't much variation in technology. Predominantly metal sensors were being used. Workshops were getting very little exposure really to TPMS. Phase two, which is the exciting sort of time of things. And that's really where batteries are going dead, left, right, and center now. We are seeing that 7 to 10 years is very common. And most businesses, I expect, are now experiencing this. Battery failure in the US market, which is the world's largest TPMS market, they've had legislation since 2007. It's typically 8 to 9 years. One of the more interesting things that we pick up on our many, many technical support calls that we take about 600 to 700 calls a month, is that we're seeing some original equipment sensors failing as little as 2 to 3 years now. Moving into phase three, this is what we're now starting to see on those many technical support calls that we take. So I am going to say we like to say our business is beyond transactional, or we like to refer to this as beyond the sensor. And what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of people think TPMS means tire pressure monitoring sensor. Well, actually, it means tire pressure monitoring system. And the system has lots of parts to it. It's got actuators, it's got receivers, antennas, there's wiring, there's ECUs, there's body control modules, there's TPMS modules, as well as the sensors themselves. There are multiple points of failure out there. Now, typically, the first failure point is the sensors. But there's other things that can go wrong. Broken sensors, well, not too bad. Low technical expertise. I think we've solved that now. There was a lot of mechanical training in the early days, and I'd like to think that in general, people don't break sensors that often anymore in the workshop. Um, but of course, you've got new members of staff that do need that mechanical training to make sure that they don't mess things up. Um, Moving into phase two, wow, you need a lot more technical expertise. But what we did is we shifted our training to include a lot of engagement training with customers because now the volume, the potential, the interaction with people is increasing because the incidences is increasing massively. So that focus on really good customer experience and a better understanding for the consumer as well as the technician really, really ties in with that large revenue opportunity that sort of kicks in as well. And then moving into the beyond the census the stage, as we refer to it, that's a whole load of new technical issues that we need to start thinking about. And we need to be able to improve the way that we communicate with our customers beyond what we already expect of our engagement training. And the way we explain we've done the following things on the following vehicle to resolve X, Y, and Z, but we may need to do deeper diagnostics and so on. So there needs to be a lot of awareness. This takes me right back to the early days of TPMS, where we would love engaging with these lone wolves in the early days because they were so hungry for knowledge. And they were really, really keen to sort of learn and learn and learn, but they were also keen to hoard and hoard and hoard all their specialist knowledge that they had developed over the years. And what we would find was different businesses we would deal with, we would be analyzing their sales and would say, hey, what happened to your TPMS? Why's it dropped off? And they would turn around and say, oh, well, Adrian has left our depot and he was the expert. And that's the danger. The lone wolf leaves you, so does your knowledge. So for many years, we've been talking about have more than one TPMS champion. We've actually been saying have two. I would argue we're now at the point that you really need three TPMS champions per center. It's really important to share the knowledge, the workload, really expose everyone to TPMS as much as you possibly can. We created this under pressure competition, which Ian kindly referred to earlier. It is live now. We have the opening entries. You can now start signing up. So we have a qualifying round and we have a finals. And in the qualifying round, we're collecting lots of data and we're learning what the knowledge gaps are in the marketplace. And in the finals, we have a vehicle that's booby trapped and we measure people on their ability to inspect a vehicle, engage with customers and explain what they found, and also resolve those problems, how they would resolve them. And that allows us to assess the skills gaps. And what we do is we basically benchmark the industry and we can then share that knowledge back in the form of improved training, newsletters, and even product developments and things like that. I like to refer to this as the tech support boundary. What do I mean by that? I mean, a technician starts working on TPMS and there's a point at which they need external support. And that's the boundary. That's the point that I'm referring to. Now, things happen when you first start working on TPMS. You start learning, you start developing your experience. And over time, you go, oh, I know how to deal with those Ford Fiestas. I see them all the time. Oh, yeah, there's that funny thing with BMWs. Oh, I know about those Kias. And you start getting experience. However, your experience is evolving all the time, just like TPMS systems are. And there's always a moment where things need refreshing. So you may have noticed my external support line. It was all the way out there. It's coming forward. That boundary is moving. It's like a living process. Intuitive hardware means that you don't need to reach out for tech support straight away. Good guided workflows in terms of the software workflows makes your reliance on tech support reduce. Structured onboarding, good training, continuous access to training really helps develop that foundational knowledge and accelerates that confidence for technicians and keeps the need for tech support at bay. However, your tech support is your insurance policy. And as we reach this high volume world of TPMS, we're now being exposed to lots and lots more issues. And if you're a lone wolf, A lone wolf doesn't know what's going on out there because they need to be part of a community. Tractor systems typically use valve-mounted sensors, a bit like our passenger car solutions, although there's now in-tire chips that have also come. And trailer systems tend to use strap-mounted systems, which you can see over here, which go around, the wheel. Now, the advantage of the strap-mounted systems is it's much easier to not break a sensor there. So you're not having that phase one issue that I'm referring to that the CV market's starting to go through now. Essentially, that market's moving very, very quickly. It's at phase one. Battery life will be shorter on CV vehicles. Why? Because those assets are sweated much more, and they do many, many, many more miles. So batteries will go flat much faster. We looked at our customers and we segmented our TPMS customers into two segments. We would say we'd have customers in grey that were going through the motions with us. So if you look down here at 2023 in this little grey box here, and you look at 2025 for the grey box, I can tell you that those going through the motion have doubled their sales in the last 2 years. And they must be going, yeah, TPMS is going really, really well for me. Fantastic. I'm so happy that the TPMS tidal waves arrived. However, if you look at the size of that red box, well, those engaged customers are doing more than, and this is on average, 10 times than those going through the motions, which means compared to that grey box over there, they're actually doing 20 times more sales than those going through the motions in 2023. Firstly, treat TPMS as a core service category. What do I mean by that? Well, you may advertise that you do brakes, batteries, tires. Why don't you advertise TPMS as its own individual category as well? Because it does need that level of attention, and it will give you the revenue streams as well as the customer experience that comes with that. So there you have it. That's what I really had for you today. If there's any questions, or I'm here for you. And yeah, there you go. I hope that was interesting.
Prashant, thank you for that. Great insight into TPMS.